All right, and that should be us going live on Twitch. We're back with Uncanny Adventures, and finally back with some Call of Cthulhu. I have three investigators who have volunteered to join me for some Cthulhu madness. Because Cthulhu, that's what can happen. You can go insane. So we're going to be playing a little game that is called Shadows Over Stillwater, and our investigators are going to be from the New Mexico territory in the area of 1877 in the Old West. And I'm Jeanette. I'm going to be your keeper this evening. Late 1800s, New Mexico. You all live near or in Mesilla in New Mexico. And in the recent days, word was put out by one of the local judges, a Judge Ross, who each of you is either personally familiar with or you have contacts in common who maybe put you onto this information. But Judge Ross received a telegram from a friend of his, a marshal from a little town, not too far away, maybe about 50 miles or so. And Marshal Ted Whitman has said that he believes he saw a wanted killer out of this area, a gentleman by the name of Hank Hanratty, in town recently. He matches the description on the wanted poster, and he's very certain that this is the man that should be brought in for the murder of another local lawman from Mesilla. So word was put out by Judge Ross looking for interested parties to be deputized and sent off to this small town, this Stillwater, New Mexico, to bring in Hanratty if possible. How are each of you, maybe what would be your interest that would bring you to the table for this sort of excursion? We'll start with you, Callie. Introduce yourself and your character, and then why you would be going on this joining this posse to go and find this criminal.
Okay. Hi, I'm Callie, or Capt Callie on Twitter. And my investigator is Olive Archer. She's a journalist who is looking for her next story. She was a reporter for the front lines of the Civil War, and she has a lot of emotional scars from it, as well as physical scars, a scar underneath her eye.
Excellent. And why are you joining up for the journalist for the story?
She is looking for her next big story. So the call of the adventure is also calling for her, I guess.
Excellent. All right. And D-Sword, how about you?
Hi everyone, I'm D-Sword, D-Sword16 on Twitter. I am playing Sol Henson. He's a Union soldier veteran who served under William Tecumseh Sherman on his march to the sea, served primarily as a bummer, or a man who was in charge of supply acquisitions in not necessarily a friendly way. And from that and the burning of Atlanta, he has a lot of internal emotional scars, not so much on the outside. I think that he was probably going to be stationed in the New Mexico territories, especially as it is coming towards statehood. He figured that a veteran doesn't have a lot of skills. His family didn't have a farm or anything for him to go back to. So he's a man with a gun, the training to use it, and was hoping to find either somewhere to be stationed in New Mexico or maybe to be a bodyguard along the incoming rail line. But when he hears about this crime, there's something, he's seen a lot of horrors in the war, and there's something a little familiar about this one. So once again, as a person who's trained to deal with these things in a certain sense of honor, he thinks it's only his duty, his responsibility to aid in the capture of this criminal.
All right. And what brings Vivacia and Viola to this adventure again?
Viola is a doctor. She was born and raised and still lives in Messia. She's married. She's married, no kids, but plenty of family. So I'm thinking that she probably got pulled into this by people pulling in favors and tickling her curiosity because she's way too curious and inquisitive for her own good. She has to find out, and she will pick and pick and pick and pick until she figures it out. So I'm guessing that they called her in to go with whichever person was going to go because they would need some medical help on some point because it would be dangerous.
Outstanding. Yes. So, when you all come in and volunteer for this special job, this deputization is brought upon you all by Judge Ross. He gives you all authority to go out and retrieve this criminal and bring them back to the area for trial. Or, if you can't bring them in alive, you are allowed to bring the body back and get credit for the capture. And so you're all deputized, and he also tells you that when you are successful in this endeavor, you will be paid $600 for your services in doing this for the court. And you are provided with horses and some supplies for the trip. And then you are left to your own devices to travel. They give you a map and directions to Stillwater, as none of you have actually been to this little town. And you set out on your way. And the trip to Stillwater is, it's not a too dangerous. You're very careful, as you know that the biggest danger is running into and angering the local Apache tribe that is living in the surrounding areas. There are some tensions between the settlers and the tribes, and so just keeping to the set roadways and things like that, and just being careful about where you camp and things like that at night sort of leaves you pretty safe as you travel. And you make decent time in heading to this small town. And maybe on the fourth day in the morning, you're maybe about a half a day's ride out of getting to town. You all kind of come to sort of the edge of a cliff overlooking the longer kind of open desert beneath you. And it's nice wide open. It's getting to be a hot day already, but not terrible, but it's clear. And you all see distantly this sort of shadowed figure well down the cliff from where you are. It just looks like it's sort of meandering back and forth, almost as if it's lost. But you can tell it looks like it's definitely a person in the distance, but it's so far from where you are that it looks just like a walking shadow to you from here. But it's just sort of just strange as it stands out amongst this open, sort of beautiful landscape that you're looking down on. This one lone figure, kind of in the direction of where you're going, but you'd have to go further out and around and down to get down to where he is in the distance. So what do you all do this morning as you're close to reaching your destination at this point?
Can I use my binoculars to try to get a better look at whatever the meandering figure is?
Sure. Why don't you make me a spot hidden roll with using your binoculars to get a closer look?
Okay. So that's a percentile die roll?
Mm-hmm. And you're looking to get your whatever your score is on your character sheet or below. Excuse me.
Yeah, that was a 14. I don't have anything in spot hidden, so I need to get below 25, right?
I believe that's the minimum, yes.
Okay.
So looking through your binoculars, you get a little bit better look. And The figure's back is to you as you're sort of seeing it, and it's very thin and kind of gaunt. Like the clothes that it has on are hanging on the frame, and the hair at the back is like very like ratty and sort of blowing in the wind. For being out in the desert, the skin seems really pale on the back of the head, and the clothes you can kind of make out as you're looking through these binoculars, as well as being just kind of hanging on the form. They look very dirty, worn, torn, and ripped, as if whoever this is has just been through the ringer, either fallen down a lot or gotten them ripped up on cactuses or falling down slopes or something. But you watch as it just sort of shuffles one way for a little ways and then randomly changes directions and shuffles the other. And you can kind of watch for a little while until you lose sight of it as it kind of goes down and behind a slope and a rise, and you just kind of lose your vision on it. But it never turns back in this direction. It just keeps shambling away.
All right, I'll turn back to the rest of the party. I'm afraid there might be someone that needs our help in some sort of way. Doctor, I think there may be someone who got lost in the desert. They're rather rough looking, I think is the nicest way of putting it.
Well, if there's somebody who needs help, we definitely need to check that out and make sure that they're okay. How far is it? Which way would we go?
Unfortunately, it is out of the way. I did lose sight of them as they crossed over the ridge there, but it shouldn't be too far out of the way, I'd hope, especially with these horses. We should be able to make good time to our destination regardless.
Well, if somebody needs help, somebody needs help. And she kind of like bustles over, double checks her doctor's bag, just pats it like, yep, we're ready. Let's go see if we can find the person who needs help. But let's be careful about it. And she double checks her rifle. She's definitely not very good with handguns.
All right, so if you're going to go and try to find a way down this and get down to this lower level so that you can find them, why don't everyone just give me ride checks as you try to maneuver your way in a safe way down around this area that you're in.
Is that the purple or the green on my sheet?
I would use the green because you're just looking for a single roll. The purple will give you advantage and disadvantage when you need it.
I got a 32 and my ride is 50.
I got a 49. My right is 15.
Okay. And what about you,
safe.
Olive?
I got a 57 and I don't know where my ride is. Sorry.
It's a minimum of 15, or a maximum at the beginning.
I'm just gonna say no.
Okay. So it takes you all a bit of time to actually find a safe way. You sort of try a couple little gullies and things to go down and then realize that you need to backtrack a little bit because the horses aren't comfortable and it's a little too steep, or you don't want them to break a leg going down. So it takes you a little bit of time to sort of make your way down from this rise that you've been on and down into this lower valley. But it's not too hard to, once you get there, to locate sort of where it is that you saw this figure kind of shambling away. And so maybe after about 40 minutes, you get actually down and around to where you saw the figure. But you don't see him anywhere in sight as you sort of ride up on the little slope where he was walking, kind of looking around for him. Do you all want to roll me spot hidden checks to try to see if maybe you can catch a glimpse of him or some kind of clue? Now, a mechanic in Cthulhu, because I know everybody's kind of new, you have luck. So you have so many points of luck that your character has. Sometimes I'll ask you to roll a luck roll for something, or you might ask me if there's something that you can use as far as a tool or a weapon, and I'll say roll a luck roll, see if you find something useful. The other thing that you can use your luck for is if you roll for one of your skills and you don't succeed, but you're pretty close, you can spend some luck and make it a success. So you would deduct that from your overall luck, and your luck won't go back up. It's gonna, whatever you take away, it's gonna eat away at that luck. But in a pinch, it could help you go from not finding something you need to find or getting away from something you want to try to escape from and being successful at it. So as I see here, you have a 26 out of a 25 on this spot hidden roll. So if
that
you wanted
means
to spend,
I could spend 1 luck, and then that would make it a success.
exactly.
All right, then let's take 1 luck down.
Sounds good. So you have a success. What about Solomon and Olive? How did you do on your rolls?
I got a 31 out of 25. How do we know how much luck we have?
So your luck is, and I just want to double check my
I think it's on the top left, over your under the HP and over the magic points.
Right, I just didn't know how it was calculated, or if we automatically start with 99.
So nope,
had
it's going to
25.
be, it's going to be, let me just double check. It's in my how you create a character paper.
Oh, actually, I think I have mine circled. I think I have 61. Maybe?
All right. That sounds probably right. So yeah,
Okay.
You're way luckier than I am.
I actually
Some
lost
peop-
some
some
because
people
of the
are.
whole veteran status. So
yeah. So well, your luck should be rolled. So you roll 3d6 and you multiply it by 5.
okay,
So that is
yeah,
how
I
you
did that.
determine your luck score.
Gotcha.
All right.
Okay, so I will not use luck, but I did not make the cut on that roll.
All right. And how about our journalist, Olive?
I also didn't make the cut.
All right. So, Viola, you are the only one to notice. While you don't see this figure anywhere in sight, you notice what looks like footprints in the dirt, in the sand on the ground. So you can see that there are some footprints here, sort of meandering away. They look a little funny to you. They're not boot prints, but they look a little funny as far as footprints go.
Right. So I point out those footprints to my companions and say, there's some footprints leading away from here. And does anything look funny about this to you? But they sure look funny to me. What y'all think?
So when the rest of you look at them, they do look odd. You can definitely see that they're not booted prints, but they look very almost like you think like a large bird footprint might look like in the sand versus a person's footprint. They're a little weird. Looking at them, you're kind of sitting up on horseback, kind of looking down at these tracks.
That certainly doesn't look like a normal person's footprint. I'm wondering if perhaps what I saw was some sort of mirage. This does not look like a human being at all. And perhaps we are on, and I mean no pun intended, by the fallery of these footprints, but on a wild goose chase.
I think goose have webbed feet.
Noted.
Tomato. I'm not really in favor of following these prints. We do have a job to do, and we're almost there. And if there's nobody to help here, let's move it along.
If there even was someone to help, they were probably long gone by now, and not in distance, if you catch my meaning. I agree with the good doctor. Perhaps we should resume our original intent.
So you turn and point your horses back in the direction of Stillwater. And leave behind these strange markings on the ground and this strange figure somewhere, maybe still wandering or not. And you head off for the small town and to catch your quarry and make a quick time of returning and getting your payment of $600. And it takes you a few more hours of riding. Not too hard. You're not having to tax the horses. It's kind of an easy ride before you come over a small rise and you see, situated in a low valley, this small town. It's a just a little quiet place. You were told in briefing that it probably has right around 300 or so citizens. The major business is silver mining in the hills, quite a few prospectors and things like that. And the prospectors bring in business to the little town. Otherwise, it's not really known for too much beyond that. It's just usually the people in this town keep to themselves, and there's not known to be a lot of trouble coming out of here. And you can see it just sort of sits here, and it's just a little place. There's probably about 24 buildings or so that have cropped up along the main street and the few side streets that sort of come off the main thoroughfare as you all come riding in. And what do you all want to do? You sort of ride in. The wind is blowing through. The various houses that you see as you first sort of start to enter have wind chimes and things on the porches. Some of them are just simple brass or copper that cling together. A few of them are a little more interesting. They've got like what looks like maybe quartz or crystals kind of hung in them to decorate them, and the sun shines off them a little bit. Various people are going about doing their daily work. Horses, getting walked up and down the main thoroughfare or tied off outside residence. You see a handful of people who kind of just give you a brief look and a nod as they sort of go in and out and work, just doing their general work for the day. You can hear somewhere in the distance the clanging of the blacksmith working nearby as you're entering town. You see that one of the first buildings you see as you come in along the main thoroughfare is it looks like a small livery stable with a gentleman sort of sitting out front, kind of on a stool. And there's a sign, it just says livery. So what do you all want to do as you sort of ride in, kind of get a general look of this little town?
Did we get a point of contact for this town for us?
So you do know that the tip was sent in from Marshal Ted Whitman. So Marshal Whitman is located in town. Mm-hmm. And you can probably ask around and find out where his office is. But he's definitely knows that someone's supposed to be on their way to look into this matter.
Well, I guess a good idea would be to stop at the livery and ask for directions, as that is seems to be the most logical point to start, since he's already out there, basically waiting for us.
I think that's a good point, and I think while we're heading there, I want to try to keep an eye and see if there's anyone in town who's paying more particular attention to us than just hear some strangers, but maybe the extra stairs, or if anybody might look like they're running to report, something like that.
All right, you can just roll me a spot hidden if you like.
I love the soldiers' hypervigilance.
All right, and actually, I've been adding my stuff to Roll20, so let's see if I can do this. So, all right, just to ask, is it the purple or the green? I know that I was already asked, but...
Oh, that's fine. It's the green for just a regular roll. Usually I'll tell you to roll the purple one if you have advantage or disadvantage on the roll, because it actually breaks them up for us.
Gotcha.
All right, so you're kind of keeping an eye out, sort of looking to see if there's any shady characters, seeing if you maybe recognize anyone that you've had a description given to you. But currently, with a kind of a glance up and down the street, you don't see anyone that really grabs your attention. People seem interested in you just because you're new faces, and otherwise the Oh, new people kind of wears off pretty quick as they just sort of go back about their business.
Okie doke.
So you slowly ride up, and the livery sits kind of at the first intersection of the main thoroughfare and one of the cross streets. And as you get closer, the gentleman who was sitting out in front stands up, wipes his hands on his trousers, and kind of gives you a nod. He's a probably middle-aged Mexican man. He looks to be about, you'd guess, maybe about 40. And you see, as he stands up, two young boys kind of go running out from the door and past his feet. And he's like, "Now, boys, take it easy. Don't upset the horses." And they go chasing each other kind of around the building and off to the side playing. And he looks up at you all and he's nods and he's like, "Afternoon. How are you?"
Afternoon, sir. We're well. How is your afternoon going?
It's quiet, but that's usual around here. I'm Roberto Sauceda. And this is my wife and I own the livery here. Can I do anything for you this fine day?
Well, Alberto, kindly met. I suppose we had some questions for you. We are in town looking for a particular gentleman who, well, we mean to bring him to justice. And if you yourself are a upstanding, lawful individual, as you appear to be, I was hoping that you might aid us in this endeavor.
Outlaw, you say? Well, I mean, we don't get many of that kind around here. I'd be happy to help you if I can do anything. I haven't heard anything myself of late.
Is there anyone that you know who might have heard anything? We were instructed by the lawman from our area that there may be someone here that we could speak to, if not get more information from.
Well, I mean, if anybody here was to know about the outlaw type, I'm the marshal. The marshal would probably be a good stop for y'all. He's usually in his office or taking his walk about town. But I mean, that would be my first stop if I was looking for someone who's breaking the law.
Thank you for the information, sir. He'll just tip his hat.
Can I point you in the direction of his office?
I would much appreciate that.
Well, what you all want to do is you just go straight down the main thoroughfare here, and it's just about 2 blocks down. You can't miss the sheriff's office on the left-hand side. And if he's not in and about there now, he's usually not gone for too long. So you could either wait there, or you could stop in at one of the saloons and bide your time until maybe he gets back. There's the Sweetwater Saloon, which is, well, and he points kind of not directly across the street, but maybe about 40 feet up on the right. He's like, that there is the Sweetwater Saloon. And there's also the Buena Suerte Cantina. But, well, that one's got a little rougher reputation in town. I mean, so you nice folks look like the Sweetwater might be your choice, but I mean, don't put it on me to decide your taste for you.
Well, I appreciate the local recommendations. I think we shall endeavor to find your local marshal. I suppose you seem to be a knowledgeable fellow about this area. Is there anything else that perhaps we should know? Do you have any local gossip, any strange going-ons, anything that just might help us?
I mean, the only thing that's strange of late is there's a young girl went missing a few weeks back. Ain't nobody seen her since she took missing. But her pa thinks she got lost in the hills outside town, and maybe either some accident befell her, or she got scooped up by someone out there. You know, those things happen when you stray too far from city limits and you don't know how to protect yourself.
It's a dreadful thing, but indeed, we do live in savage times, I fear.
True enough. If you need any help there, like boarding your horses or anything like that, you can always come back and talk to me or my wife, and we can board them for a fee.
We likely shall. I think that we shall use them in the meantime, but Roberta, you've been kind to us, and I believe that kindness should be rewarded, especially in times of industry and business like we live in.
Well, in the future, if you stop by, you could call me Bob.
Bob. Well, it was
Bob.
nicely to meet you, Bob.
Nice to meet y'all too. You all have a wonderful day.
You as well.
And he walks back up on the porch, kicks some dirt off his boots, and kind of opens the door and leans in and is talking to his wife kind of in a low voice as you all are still sitting astride your horses in the main thoroughfare. What do you want to do?
I would like to take his directions to try to find the marshal.
That's a good first step.
What do you think, Olive? Good plan?
I'm just following them.
She's like not even looking.
Is that Olive? Is Olive like on horseback with the notepad and the pencil, like just always writing things down when you have a chance and you're not worried about falling off the horse?
Yeah, she's like doodling the chicken foot thing and like not a goose or a duck.
Is there a story here? Question mark. More information needed. So you all ride down the street. You pass by the saloon on the right-hand side. You pass, you pass by the blacksmith shop that's on the left. You the noise of it, getting louder as you ride past. You see, it looks like he's working on some kind of maybe shoes for a horse right now, but there's other like farm tools and things kind of hanging that he apparently has up that you can buy and things like that. Further down the street, right across from the saloon, you can see this little wooden building with a couple of wooden caskets sort of standing up against the side by the door. And in classic old Western, there's a tall, lanky individual in a very dark suit and a dark top hat with very dark hair, like that's kind of crazily coming out from underneath, sort of moving things about on the porch and organizing them. And as you're riding past, he just sort of turns and he tips his hat in your direction and then puts his hat back on and goes back to his business. And you're very sure that he is probably the town's undertaker. And then a little ways, yes, I love it. A little ways further up the street, as you are riding, you can see on the right-hand side, as you pass the second sort of cross street of the main thoroughfare, is a general store. There's a sign hanging out in front. The front door is open, though there's a bell above it for when it is closed so the bell can ring. And you can see various wind chimes hanging from the porch here. They kind of play nice tune in the wind. And you can see inside various things like clothing, lanterns. There's a whole section you can see just inside the front door with prospecting tools and things like that. And you even see like behind the counter is like a selection of some revolvers and ammunition that's set back there. And on your left, you see the marshal's office. It's sort of set right on the corner of the street. It's not a very large building. It's got a little porch, front door, 2 windows, one to either side of it. The door is currently closed, but you can see it looks like there's somebody inside through one of the front windows. There's a place to tie your horses off out front, and there are 2 horses currently tied off out there. The porch also has some of these various wind chimes on it. It actually has one of the ones with like the quartz and that's shining in the light, and then it's got a couple of the older fashioned ones, and just the occasional people still sort of going about their business. The gentleman inside the general store, kind of walking past with a broom sweeping, sort of leans out and gives you all a look and keeps sweeping at the porch. And if you notice, he just kind of gives you a nod and then keeps sweeping his porch.
All right.
What do you want to do?
Well, I would think head over to Marshal Whitman's office and tie off all horses so that we can get inside and get some information on where to go from here.
All right.
So
you will...
I will definitely take my doctor's bag. I'm not leaving that behind on the horse. That is way too precious to Viola than to leave it behind.
All right. So you all tie off your horses, collect any items that you want to bring inside with you, and make your way toward the door of the marshal's office. So when you get there, who's going to go inside? Who wants to open the door and enter this building?
I'm going to be motioning to Sal and be like, yeah, men to men. Men to men. You know they react better to the men.
Yeah, I'll lead the way. I'll give a sharp rap on the door and then go ahead and open it before I wait.
All right. So you give a sharp rap, and as you go to turn the knob and go in, you hear a gruff voice. Come on in! And you hear a couple of booted feet kind of hit the floor, and as you kind of swing the door open, and you see this gentleman in this chair. He's an older gentleman. Your guess would be probably late 40s, early 50s. He's got white, gray hair, kind of shaggy looking under his black cowboy hat. He's got a very large, kind of bushy mustache, also gray and white. And he's got, like day-old, kind of unshaved on his face. He's a bit pot-bellied and kind of leans a little when he rises to his feet to kind of greet you all as you come in, kind of looking you over one by one. He doesn't smile or anything. He's kind of got a bit of a sourpuss look on his face, though you don't get the feeling like he's a mean person, just maybe he's just in a mood. And looking around, you can see that it is a small office here. There's his desk at the kind of setback from the door in the center of this main area. And behind it, there's a gun rack. You can see there's a couple of Winchester rifles, a couple of shotguns, and then a couple Colt Peacemakers kind of hanging in the gun rack behind him. His desk is pretty sparse. He doesn't have a lot of stuff on it. He's got some papers and stuff that are held down by this interesting crystal paperweight that's just sort of sitting on top of it. And then he's got a couple of like pencils kind of all over the place here and there, and a pipe. And the only other thing in this room is off and to the right, there's 2 cells. One of them, the door is open, it's empty, no one's in there. And then in the other one, the door's closed and locked, and there's a younger man in the cell. You'd probably say he's in his 20s, maybe mid-20s. And he's just lying on the bunk inside the cell. He's looking up at the ceiling with one hand kind of across his brow, and he's muttering, but it's kind of not sensical, or maybe you can't hear him right, but he's just kind of laying there muttering to himself. And the marshal stands up and he's like, nods his hat, tips it. Good afternoon. What can I do for you, strangers? I'm Marshal Whitman.
Marshal Whitman, kindly met. My name is Sol Henson. I believe that me and my party here have business in your town. We are looking for an outlaw, sir, and I was wondering if you might have information on how best to apprehend him.
What outlaw might you be looking for, Mr. Henson, is it?
Henson, indeed it is. We come from Scylla, and we were instructed that I see recognition, yes.
Well, I imagine then that you are sent here by my friend Judge Ross, then.
Indeed we were, sir, yes.
Yes. Well, he made good time then. I like that. Ross was always a good man. I knew I could trust him if I sent him the information. Yes, well, I'm glad to see that you all made it here and you look none too worn out or harried in your journey. I did send the information to Judge Ross because a little over a week ago, saw this gentleman who I'd never seen in town before myself, and it jogged a memory for me seeing his face, and came back and did a little searching through my paperwork here, and I found this here, and he goes and he pulls out a wanted poster, and he kind of puts it on the desk so you can see it. And it's a sketch of a man who's probably in his probably mid-40s. He's got a thicker face, a big chin, looks like he's kind of built, short cropped hair, and he's like, now, these sketches that they put on these posters aren't always super accurate, but I'm very certain that this is the man, this here, that I saw wandering about my town. But I wanted to go about this the right way and bring in someone from outside to bring him in, because I am the only lawman. We're a small town, and better to get some assistance in this than to handle it just myself. Especially because he's wanted for some serious crimes.
Certainly, sir. Well, that's what we're here for, is to help you, and I suppose the sooner the better. Just to be clear, though, what crimes exactly is this man wanted for?
Well, I know he killed a lawman, an old friend of Judge Ross, a number of years ago, and that's what's got him on the most wanted in the area. But he's done some small crimes, or at least he's accused of some petty thefts and some other things like that, robbing some stagecoaches. So he has a bit of a rap sheet, though he seemed in the last couple of years to have laid low and gone on the quiet side of committing anything. If this is him and he's in town, he hasn't done anything since he's been here that we've found out about. So he's definitely trying to keep a lower profile. I can tell you that I did a little asking after I heard back from Judge Ross, and I believe that Hanready, from what I heard, when he was in town, he was comfortable at the Sweetwater Saloon. Apparently he visited it a couple of times. So maybe somebody who frequents the Sweetwater, maybe they'll give you a little more information. maybe they know where he's holed up.
Anyone in particular that you think we should ask?
I've inquired with the owner and some of the regulars, but you know, some of these types, they're a little hesitant to be the ones to talk to the local lawman. I'm a recognizable face, and if it got back to this man, and he is this criminal, they could put themselves in danger, so they like to mind their own business. But now you all are strangers, they don't know who you are. If you bought them a few drinks, got a couple of the locals talking, you might be able to get them to give you a little more information than they give to a man directly wearing a badge. If you know what I mean.
Certainly, sir. And just to clarify, what was the name of the criminal that we're pursuing?
His name is Hank Hanratty.
That's right.
Put in...
I am glad somebody keeps notes because I suck at that. All right, and Viola is gonna pipe up, from the back and say, "Is there a local doctor or a clinic that we could visit if I needed to restock my doctor's bag?"
Oh, well, yes. Dr. Henry Fletcher is our local physician, and he would be more than happy, I'm sure, to assist you in if you needed replenishing any medicines and or tools and things like that. If you need to seek him out, if you go out the front door here of my office, and head up the side street here, not the main thoroughfare, but go across the way and keep going up the side street, the doctor's house and office is at the end. He's the last house on the right hand side of the road there, and you tell him I sent you, he'd probably be happy to help. He's a good man, a little eccentric, but the book types are eccentrics. They know things that the rest of us, we just don't need to worry about.
Oh, I know. Point in case. So Viola will turn around and look at Solomon and say, "So, I do want to hit up that doctor's clinic on some point, see what he knows. Maybe he will tell me some things that he might not have told the marshal. Maybe, he helped somebody that is not, one of his normal customers. But I do think we might want to hit the saloon first. What are you thinking? Miss Olive, you still with us?"
Yes. I will, I was going to ask around and see if people will tell me what they know about it, because people's words to me are slightly more interesting than the lawmen.
The marshal's like,
Sorry, go ahead.
No, the marshal just looks at Olive and kind of gives her this sort of sideways, like, eye cock, and like, all right then.
Well, perhaps it's best that
No
we split
offense to you. No offense to you.
None taken. Sorry, Mr. Henson.
Oh, no worries at all. I was suggesting that perhaps we split our efforts. If Miss Archer finds it's best to investigate the local town folk, I have no problem going to the Sweetwater and investigating there. And Miss Viola, if you wanted to ask at the local medical center and see if there's anything else you could find out there, that it might be best to split up, as it were.
Marshal, where would you recommend we stay for the duration of this investigation?
The Sweetwater's got rooms for rent upstairs. They rent for $1 a night, though he doesn't include meals with that, so you'd still have to pay for your meals separately. But that would be my recommendation. I mean, unless you like a little more trouble with your nights, the Buena Suerta Cantina is our answer to the lowlife's dive bar in town.
And she will also just get a little closer to the marshal and say, "So, does your prisoner need any medical help? He seems to be not quite himself."
Oh, that you noticed that, huh? That boy. Oh, he was his name's Marty Blanchard, and he's a local cowhand. He works at one of the local ranches. He was out night hawking. You know night hawking? It's when you're left on night watch. You sit out all night on your horse in the dark, and you keep an eye on the cows and the cattle. Well, apparently Marty over there was night hawking, and the next day, some of his co-workers found him. He was still riding on his horse, but seemed unable to speak. He was terrified of them, even though he's worked with some of them boys for quite a while. And, he seems to have gone completely out of his senses, I'll tell you. Ain't never seen it. The doc's taking a look at him, and he has no idea what to do about the poor boy. So far, it's been a few days, and he hasn't come back to himself as of yet.
One of my special interests is the medicine of the mind. Would you mind if I go and see if I can have a talk with him and maybe help a little?
I don't mind. Just be careful. He gets real tense. He got a little violent when some of the others got a little close to him trying to bring him in. So that's why we've had to put him in the cell, because there's no telling when he's going to lose it a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe he won't find me quite as threatening as a female, unarmed, and I'm not trying to take him anywhere. I could even talk to him through the bars if that would make you feel better.
Why don't we start with that and see how he responds, and if he gets excited, then at least you're a safe distance away.
Yes. Has he talked to anybody but himself since he came in?
When he talks, and sometimes he will make noises in my direction, but it's not words. I don't think that maybe he fell and hit his head or something. I don't know. I don't think that he knows how to speak anymore, which is, he's generally a good kid, soft-spoken, somewhat intelligent. So I don't know what happened to the boy.
So can I try and use my skill on psychology to see what I can see?
Sure. If you want to walk across and take a look. He doesn't, he's just still is lying with, just looking up at the ceiling, his feet up on the bed, just still mumbling up at the ceiling when you approach.
So is he kind of catatonic, like shaking back and forth, or is he just laying there like staring into nothing?
Currently just laying there staring into nothing.
All right, so I would walk up and calmly and softly introduce myself, and see if he responds to a female voice, and well, let's see what we can see. Green. Oh, please. Yeah, no.
So you rolled a 30.
It's a 65. It's a 65 and of 30. So yeah, no.
No, it's a 35 out of 30.
Oh, I didn't roll down. Oh,
yep.
There you go. I was still looking at the spot hidden thing.
Yep. So you could potentially spend 5 luck. Now remember, you don't get luck back. So once you spend it is gone.
I do not have quite that much luck to spend.
All right, so you're gonna stay with the roll?
Yes.
Okay. When you talk, you do draw his attention, and he does sort of turn and look at you, and he's got this vacant, just look in his eyes. Like, he looks in your direction, but almost like he doesn't really see that you're there. And he keeps mumbling gibberish, no words at all. Like you don't make any words out of what he's mumbling. But he doesn't get agitated by your presence, but he doesn't give you any normal response. He just seems like, and you maybe have seen this as you've studied psychology and things, and maybe spent some time in the sanitarium, like studying people of varying degrees. And he is literally like almost, you're surprised not catatonic in the sense of like he's not there. I mean, your best guess is like something traumatic maybe happened to him, and he's just, you don't know what you would do to help him at this point. But something strange definitely occurred because he has had some kind of severe break.
Yeah. So this must have been a really, really traumatic experience for him. He has completely withdrawn into himself. He might come out, he might not come out, but there is right now nothing we can do to assist him but keep him safe and hydrated and fed, if you will, take sustenance. Thank you for allowing me to try and talk to him.
Well, thank you for taking a look. Yeah, I feel bad. I don't know exactly what we're gonna do about the poor boy. I'm hoping that given a few more days, maybe he'll settle down a bit and come back. But as it is now, I'm just gonna keep him in there, and he eats when I give him food, and he drinks when I give him water. So, I mean, and you know, the basic bodily functions he's still capable of taking care of. So, just kind of waiting to see what happens with him. But thank you very much for taking a look. If you could, if you think of something, he'll be here unless something changes. So.
All right. Well, if we're breaking up our companions right now, where would you like to meet? Should we meet you at Sweetwater afterwards?
I think that might be best since that's where we're staying for the night. Would you all like to hold on to your horses, or if not, I could take them all to the livery for you?
I think I would like for you to do that. I will gladly walk, and while you're there, if you could already procure us our rooms, that would be
Certainly.
greatly appreciated.
Of course. Miss Olive, your preference?
You can hold my horse. No.
And I shall. Consider your horses held.
So Sol is going to take the horses to the livery and then head to the saloon.
Yes.
Viola's heading to the doctor's office. And Olive, you're doing the man on the street thing. You're looking for just random townspeople to chit-chat with.
Yeah.
Olive is Billy Eichner.
I was going to make a Billy Eichner joke. Hello, who are you?
The old-fashioned
All right.
camera just flash it in their face.
Hold on. Pour a little stuff. Ready? Poof. Got the picture. Pull the film out. Got the print. Good. Here we go. So why don't we, as you all are splitting up, and you come out from the sheriff's office and do a quick kind of look around. Olive, let's start with you. So in your immediate vicinity, you can see the owner of the general store is still sweeping. He's made his way out onto the porch and is sweeping the porch off, though he's not really kind of giving you guys a look anymore. That you've safely gone in and come out of the marshal's office. The undertaker has now taken up a position in a rocking chair on his porch and is just settled in and relaxing there. And otherwise, there's just a handful of people, like some going into and out of the general store. You see some people pushing like a cart down the road. It looks like they've got maybe some sheets and things in it and various like laundry, and they're pushing it down the street, sort of past the general store and down one of the side streets. You're not sure where they're going. So what do you want to do?
I will run up to the people who are carrying the the sheets down the street.
Okay, so you all watch as Sol and Viola, you sort of are kind of splitting off, and Viola's going up the side street heading for the doctor's office, and Sol's heading down the main thoroughfare back toward the livery. You watch Olive kind of runs past the general store and around the corner and sort of follows after this cart that's being pushed down the side street. And there's two gentlemen pushing it, and as you run up to them, Olive, you see that they're both younger Asian gentlemen who are a little startled as you kind of come around the corner and look at them, and they sort of stop pushing the cart and look at you expectantly.
Olive says hello in Chinese.
You speak Chinese?
Well, she has the other language thing. That was one of the skills that I picked.
That's awesome. Love it. So you say hello, and they're actually very surprised when you say hello. And they both nod to you and say hello. The one closer to you says, I am startled to hear you speak. Most people don't bother to learn our language. We're expected to learn English. Can I help you?
I'm sorry, I don't know much. I will probably not talk very well. I don't notice. Have you heard of this man? And then I give the name, and I didn't. I was going to ask, but I didn't, so I'm not going to say it. I give the name, and I can't remember the name to that. I'm sorry.
It's Hank Hanready. That's fine.
Oh, Hank Hanready.
They look at each other, and they look back at you, and he's no. We don't know this person.
Oh, okay. Can you give me insight of what has happened in your town in the past few weeks? Or do you know?
They look at each other again, and the one that's been talking to you goes to answer, and from down the street behind you, you hear a voice in Chinese. What are you doing? You're wasting your time. Where's the laundry? And you kind of turn, startled, to see this shorter, chubby Asian man storming down the street toward these two, looking between them and you. And then he looks at you and he says in English, and you can tell he's learning, and he just, what did they do? Are they in trouble? Did they, what can I do for you?
Oh, no, they've been very lovely. I was just asking, maybe you know, I am trying to gather information. My name is Olive Archer. I'm not from around here, obviously. I'm trying to gather information of a man named Hank Hanready.
No, I don't know Hanready.
You don't know him?
No.
Well, that's fine. Thank you for your time. Yeah. Thank you, and they're doing perfectly fine. You don't need to berate them.
He looks between you and them. He's like, go. He looks at you. He says, I'm sorry, I don't know this Hanready. Welcome to our town.
Oh, thank you. Do you know somebody who might know?
I don't think I do.
Okay, that's fine. I'll ask around.
Does he need laundry done?
Oh, no.
He points to a building down the street. I run a laundry out of that building there.
I'll be sure to get my friends and visit you, if that's okay. I will say hi again.
You Olive Archer.
Yes.
Nice to meet you, Li Chen. Oh, that's my hand.
Nice to meet you.
And he waits for a moment to see if you need anything else.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, it's good. Okay. It's okay. Goodbye.
He spins around and he double times it after the two of them. He's go, go, go. You waste time stopping in street. Go. We have business. And he hurries them off.
Really bad now.
He hurries them off, and you see them push the cart around and kind of up a little ramp up the porch and into the building down the street. He goes inside, and the door shuts behind them.
Can I still go? Or...
I mean, you can wander, like if you can want to wander and see who else you run into. So
yeah, I'll wander.
All right. So as you wander, who wants to go next, Sol or Viola?
Well, I'm guessing that mine is going to be a shorter encounter, and since he still has to stable the horses, I'll probably get to the doctor's before he gets to the saloon.
Okay.
Where
So
I can then join him for a drink.
So it is not far, and the sheriff or the marshal's directions were very specific, and you can see the doctor's small house / office just sitting kind of by itself on the corner at the end of the road. There's just some small scrub trees and stuff that kind of dot the back of the property, and then it just kind of goes out into just more open land behind for maybe future construction. And it's just a small, modest little place. Nothing too fancy here. The door is shut. The windows currently look like they're closed, and the curtains are drawn.
All right, so she's just gonna resolutely walk up to the front door and knock at it, and call out, "Dr. Fletcher, are you in?"
Oh, just a moment. I'll be right there. Just a moment. And you hear like a little bit of clattering and shuffling, like maybe he's moving some things around and things like that. And it takes maybe about a minute before you hear footsteps come to the door, and the lock kind of turns on the bolt inside, and the door opens, and this very tall, sort of tall, thin man kind of steps into the door. He's almost got to kind of duck his head a little bit to go under the door frame. He's just that tall. And he looks like he's, maybe in his 40s, a little bit balding on top, but, paler skin. And he's wearing a suit with a suit jacket, and he's got a little tie on. And he sees you and he's like, "Hi, can I help you with something?" "I'm sorry, Dr. Henry Fletcher. And you are?"
"Dr. Viola Markward. It is so nice to meet you." And she kind of just like reaches out her hand to shake it. She said, "I was sent here by the marshal. As you were named as the only doctor in town, and I wanted to see if maybe you would be able to help me."
Another doctor. That's yes. I'm generally the only practitioner of medicine in Stillwater. Though I mean, with the few numbers, mostly I end up treating things like snake bites and broken legs. I mean, I have had an occasional gunshot to deal with when things get a little bit out of hand, but otherwise, it's just generic general medicine mostly here. What can I do for you if the marshal sent you over?
We have just gotten in from Messia. We are here in the pursuit of a man named Hanratty.
Okay.
And I wanted to see if you had any unusual cases in the last couple of weeks. Anything out of the ordinary that might give us a little bit of a hint. I mean, if he's around and somebody got hurt, or if somebody stumbled upon something, just anything you can think of, sir.
I mean, I don't know. There's been well, there's one of our young men, ranch hand, has taken ill. I'm not really sure what's ailing him. If you've been at the marshal's office, you probably saw him. He's got him holed up until we can figure something out, or he improves on his own.
Yeah, the poor lad. He is all withdrawn into himself.
Yeah, there's been other than that and the usual, there has been a few cases recently of I don't know, just some people kind of feeling a little out of sorts. I don't know if maybe they got some bad food, maybe there was something wrong with their water or something. Maybe some of them, too much liquor and, blackout, not remembering some things, but otherwise, no, nothing really out of the ordinary. Aside from that.
Do you have any sick people that, or sickly people who live just outside the town limits? When we were riding in, one of my companions thought he saw a sickly, kind of thin, raggedy person, but we could not get to them.
No, there's not a lot. There's really no. I mean, the only people who really live outside of the city limits are, the prospectors who have claims in the hills and things like that. And most of them, will live on the property of their claim and come in and out of town every week or two to sort of resupply and just check in, or if they've, found some silver or something in the hills, to come in and exchange it for, credits at the saloon or things like that. So maybe if you saw someone, maybe it was one of the prospectors to take an ill. You said there was something funny about them?
Yeah, we could only see it from afar, and the only prints we found were a little off. They did not really look like normal footprints, so it was all a little off.
Huh. I mean, where was this that you saw this person? It was a few hours back before you hit town.
By the ridge.
Yeah.
The ridge. So I would kind of describe, where we came from, how far it is, and what we tried to get there. Is there any tribal land close by to that area? How are those relations going? Is there anything that we have to watch out for if we leave the city proper, the town proper?
Well, I mean, it's if you plan to leave the city limits, it's good you asked. There is a local Apache tribe. One of their warriors is a little more easily offended, and there's been a lot of bad blood between his small group and some of the outlying claim holders and things like that. And so we tend to warn people, if you're going to go out into the hills, just to be very much aware and not put yourself in their path, or if you do run across them, do your best not to do anything to upset or anger them. There's a lot of animosity about us being here and the claimers being in the hills, and really who's allowed to have it and things like that. So, which is understandable. But one of the locals, his daughter went missing a couple weeks back, and he thinks that maybe this fellow had something to do with it. They've had some altercations in the past, and he thinks maybe this is payback for that. But I mean, we haven't found anything. The marshal's done some looking into it and hasn't found anything. So, but what you're saying, where you saw this person, that's kind of in the other direction of the hills and the mines. I mean, if it was one of the claim holders wandering out that far, I mean, maybe he took ill and wandered off his claim and was on his last leg being out there. I mean, You get lost out in the desert without any kind of food, water, number of days out in the sun. You're not going to be very long for the world if you don't get found pretty quick. So, unfortunately, maybe you just collapse somewhere and you're never going to find him again.
Yeah,
I don't know.
we were worried about somebody being hurt. So, but because it was so far away, we're not even quite sure if it was a person or if it was an animal or whatever it was. I just wanted to make sure that, we didn't overlook something glaringly where we could have helped somebody.
Oh no, and it's good of you to mention it. I mean, if you think about it, mention it to the marshal, and maybe if he ends up getting a chance, taking a couple guys and riding out that way just to see, or at least this way, maybe he'll keep track, and we'll see if any of the regulars from out in the claims don't show up for their usual pickups and things like that. That might give us a hint if somebody has gone missing. That might help us find them.
Well, Dr. Fletcher, thank you so much for your help. If you do see the marshal, feel free to mention this to him. Is there anything else that I should know about this place? Anybody I should stay clear of? Not everybody is as supportive of doctors and women folk as you seem to be, or the marshal seems to be.
I mean, most people here are pretty they're pretty good folks for the most part. I mean, some of them can get kind of a bit gruff. There's Alejandro. He's over at the cantina. He can be a bit on the gruff side. He's more of a likes dealing with the cowboys and the more drunken prospectors that tend to come in and things like that. Finds it easier to take their money, Also, there's a Reverend Boone. He's a decent enough man, though. If you don't want to get on his bad side, as far as, I mean, you're like myself. You believe in science and medicine, and the Reverend, he's kind of the old school of, the Bible is really all that you need, and any ills that befall you, maybe it's your own doing because it's what you brought down by your sinful behavior and whatnot. So we've gotten to the point where we agree to see that we don't see eye to eye. We kind of keep our distance. So, I mean, if you see him, don't mention Judgment Day. Don't mention Judgment Day. That's a long conversation you don't want to have. But I mean, I can't really think otherwise. You might enjoy talking to Donovan Wells. He's the school teacher. He's kind of young. He's new to town. But he's a smart fellow. Got a lot of new ideas, that he's brought in. Yeah, otherwise, I mean, most people are pretty friendly as long as, you're good to them. They're good to you, as far as I've been able to see in this place since I've been here.
That is good to know. Well, thank you, sir. I will definitely call on you again if I need any more help. If you hear of anything that could help us in looking for Mr. Henratty, that would be really appreciated. If anything changes for the poor lad, feel free to let me know, please. I would really like to keep abreast on his situation.
Oh, sure. Most definitely. If while you're in town, if anything should come about, I'll having someone else who's schooled in medicine maybe has a different take. If I need to, I'll have you come in.
Very much appreciated. And she'll say her goodbyes and then slowly head over to the saloon, tucking away that on some point should go talk to the school teacher, but right now she wants to go meet up with her companions and see what they found out.
Okay. So meanwhile, Sol, you have taken the horses back toward the livery, where you see Bob is still, this time Bob is sort of out front with the two little boys, who are probably about 10 and 12 years old, and he's throwing a ball back and forth with them as you're kind of walking back up with these horses in tow. He sees you coming and he kind of motions for the boys to kind of get up on the porch, and he gives you a nod and he's like, "Back so soon?"
Oh, yes, sir. We wanted to take you up on your kind offer to store horses for the time being.
That's no problem. 3 horses. I can store those. What do you want to go day by day, or do you want to do like maybe a week, like on the outset? Say, how long do you think you're gonna be staying in town, my friend?
I am hoping for the shorter side, so for the time being, let us say day by day.
All right. Well, what if we say for what if we do 3 days and we'll say $4, and then we can negotiate from there if you have to keep them longer.
And that will include both feed and care for the horses, I assume.
Yeah. Yeah.
That sounds reasonable enough.
All right. All right. Well, me and the boys will take them in. We've got some room in, because currently I'm just housing 2 horses of my own, so got plenty of room in the stable. And if you need them at any time, just day or night, just give a knock at the door if we're not out and about. And myself or my wife will give you access to the stable and your horses.
Much appreciated. Thank you for
you're-
your service, sir.
Oh no, thank you very much. In this quiet little town, it's nice to get a little extra business everyone now and then.
I'm sure. And speaking to that, I did want to reiterate my question from before. Let me ask in another way. As far as new business goes, has there been any other strange faces coming through these parts? Anyone that it seems like you have your eye on the town, anyone that's passed through that you didn't necessarily recognize?
Not for a bit. I'd say maybe the most recent was I think it's Mr. Probish's I don't know if it was his cousin maybe came through. Mr. Probish and his wife, they got a claim outside of town, and I think it was his cousin came in. God, it's been at least maybe 6-7 months, and was coming in to help him with his claim. An extra set of hands to get more work done that way, and don't see much of them. They usually come into town from the other side of town out of the claims and do their business, the general store and the local saloons and things like that before they head back out, and then they're usually not back a couple weeks before they come back in. So I can't say I saw the man more than 2-3 times myself, if and not recent, maybe not in the last month or two.
All right. And the name Hanratty means nothing to you?
No, I can't say that I've heard that name before. No, I'm sorry.
All right, then. So thank you so much for your time, and once again for the horses. You have a nice rest of your day.
Well, thank you very much, and you too.
And Saul's going to head towards the Sweetwater.
All right. So you're heading back toward the Sweetwater, and your little trip down there and back probably took about as much time as Viola's. And Olive, you talked to Mr. Lee Chen there and his associates. Do you seek out anyone else to talk to? As you saw at that time when you were talking to Mr. Chen, you saw Sol and Viola kind of heading away. So you'd probably have time to talk to maybe another person before they make their way back this direction.
I'm gonna talk to the Undertaker.
Ah, the Undertaker. He is sitting on his porch. He is tall, thin, and just rocking in his chair. As you approach, he just sort of watches you approach with this little, flat grin on his face. That he stands up as you get to the edge of his porch, and he gives you a very regal bow, and tips his hat and stands straight up, and he says, "Good afternoon. Can I help you?"
Maybe. My name is Olive Archer. I'm
Hello.
a writer. And
Oh.
I'm looking for a man.
A dead man or a living man?
The last time I heard, he was living. I don't know if you acquaint yourself with a lot of living people, but
I know a few, but I do know every dead man from town. I've buried all of them.
dead or alive, have you heard of a man with the last name Hanratty?
Hanratty. Definitely no dead men with the name Hanratty. But no, I don't believe I know any living ones with the name either. I'm sorry.
Is there any suspicious happenings in this town that you've any people outside of town besides myself and my companions who have come through who are different?
I mean, there's been the occasional kind of earthquake here and there over the course of the last month or two. Just a simple tremor here or there. You know, occasionally the caskets will fall down. I'll have to pick them up. But you know, that's just, those things happen, you know. I don't know much about that. I mostly just dig in the earth. I don't know anything more about it. But, otherwise, well, you're new. We have a gentleman in town. He runs the laundry service. His name is Mr. Chen. He, during the holidays in the summer, he's known for lighting off these very extravagant fireworks. I believe, they imports them from out on the coast, and, well, I think that he's been setting them off recently just to, I don't know, test out some new ones he got. There's been a couple of launches, what was it, maybe a week ago, the last one? I'm not sure what the occasion was, but, you know, these people do what they do. Of course, if he blows himself up, I'll be burying him too. And if he breaks something with them or lights it on fire, I'm also a very good carpenter if you need any work done.
Oh.
I made these myself. And he shows you the caskets again. By hand.
They're lovely.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the information.
Oh, of course.
It's appreciated. Is it all right if I need to ask any more questions if I come find you again?
Of course. You'll generally find me here unless someone has passed on, and then I'll either be making the arrangements or I'll be digging the grave myself, and usually they're not very talkative, so if you'd wanted to keep me company and talk to me, that's most welcome. You know, the dead don't have much to say, unfortunately.
That is true. She gives a nervous laugh, and says, well, I'll be seeing you. And then she'll, like, curtsy, and then she'll go and find her companions.
He gives another bow and hat tip and stands back upright and fixes his suit jacket and says, have a very nice day. It was nice speaking to you, Miss Olive.
It was nice speaking to you, too.
Good day. And as you're stepping off the porch and looking around, you can see now Viola and Sol are making their way back in this direction towards you, Olive. And you both see Olive and each other kind of coming back to the intersection near the marshal's office about the same time.
Miss Archer, how has your investigations gone?
No one seems to know anything. There's been earthquakes, and a man by the name of Chen has been shooting off fireworks. And that's it.
Did I just see you curtsy?
I don't want to talk about it.
That's fair. Well, I've learned quite less than you, so perhaps the Sweetwater will have anything. Doctor, did you happen to learn anything?
I have learned a little bit about the area, that the way we saw or we didn't see, the figure is far away from anywhere where people should live. I also learned that if we leave the town proper, we should look at for one of the local tribes who has some very, very touchy warriors that we might not want to offend. We don't want to end up with no scalp. Else, not much. The good doctor was trying to be helpful, but he didn't know very much. He did talk about the girl who went missing, but he thinks it was the tribe, and because the Outer Claims owners had some controversy with the tribe about who owns the land and who does not. So we still don't really know what happened to the little girl, as they have not found her or any. Not sure if she is connected or if she is not connected. And Elsie did tell me that most of the people in town are good folks that will more than likely try to help and not hinder us. Not a lot, but it's a start. He also told me to check in with the schoolmaster if we have time.
Well, let's make sure that we do.
And I don't know about y'all, but after all this riding, I'm ready for a rest, some food, and a drink.
I think that's just what the doctor ordered.
Yes, she just did, didn't she?
So you all make your way toward the Sweetwater Saloon. The doors are obviously the classic saloon-style doors. You can hear low voices coming from inside as you approach. You hear the gentle jingling of more wind chimes, and looking around, there's a bunch of them hanging under the eaves of the porch as you kind of step up the steps toward the doors. And they're just kind of jingling in the breeze that blows through.
Is it like a weird number of wind chimes?
I mean, there's a lot of places seem to have them, and especially these nicer ones with the quartz. Like, a lot of places seem to have these like hanging up. Like, maybe there was a special on them or something at some point, or somebody in town makes this certain type of wind chime and it's just become very popular. But you do see like a lot of the buildings that you have passed have had some form of wind chime hanging from the porches or outside the front doors and things like that. It does get a nice breeze through town, so it's worthwhile to have them. They make a very pretty music as you kind of walk by. Do you approach the saloon doors and enter?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and not bust through John Wayne style, but just ease my way in.
All right. So this saloon sits sort of kitty corner to the Undertaker's small store, small home, and you see him still he's gone back to sitting and rocking in his chair on his porch, just relaxing. And as you enter this saloon, you kind of go inside, and the interior is lit but dimly so. There's a handful of lights but set to very low, and behind the bar you see a bigger, kind of thick-chested, sort of balding man of probably about 45 years old. He's kind of wiping out some steins and like putting them back on the counter. He's just sort of chit-chatting with a young man who's refilling the bar, and there's a few customers seated about the room, and there's two women who kind of are moving about, who you realize are like the waitresses, sort of going about to the tables, checking in on the customers, bringing drinks and coming back to the bar and getting more orders for drinks and things like that. And as you three step into the space and your eyes adjust, It's a decent sized space. It's decorated with a lot of like deer, cattle, coyote like skulls, and then there's some rattlesnake hides and rattles sort of nailed to the walls in some places and things like that. So it's got this very kind of interesting design to it. And when the doors, the saloon doors kind of swing and kind of clatter together, the bigger gentleman behind the bar looks over in your direction and he says, "Welcome to the Sweetwater. What can we do for you today?"
Well, sir, we are looking for 3 rooms and perhaps some food and drink if we could.
"Well, you're in luck. I have 4 rooms upstairs, but I can do 3, and the rooms are $1 a night a piece."
Reasonable offer. We shall take you up on that, sir.
Miss Archer.
Outstanding.
Archer, would you like your own room, or would you prefer to share? What would make you feel safer?
I'm fine with my own room, unless you want to share.
I am good either way. I just wanted to make sure that we as women feel safe.
I pat my revolver. I'm fine.
Very well. 3 rooms it is.
All right, 3 rooms. All right. Jason, go turn down 3 of the rooms, set them up, and it'll be how many nights do you need the rooms for?
We don't exactly know that number as of yet, sir. Well, let's say 3 to begin with. That seems to be the arrangement I made with the gentleman over at the livery.
Oh, Bob.
Yes, sir.
Good
Bob.
man. He's one of Sweetwater's finest, let me tell you. Good fellow. What brings you? Then he starts pulling out glasses. What brings you into Sweetwater?
Also, just a little bit of business with the law. Just looking for a gentleman. In fact, I wonder if you might be able to help us with that. Does the name Handready mean anything to you?
Handready.
By the way, did we get a copy of that sketch, or did he only have one?
He had the one, and you guys didn't ask to take it from him.
No, we did not. But maybe Miss Archer knows how to draw. Maybe she can draw us a copy.
He kind of stands there and he's licking his lips and he's sort of like thinking about it. Just roll me a psychology roll. And any of you and all of you can roll this if you want to. Sol has no clue. How about
Sol's
Olive?
a firm believer in phrenology. He needs to like rub the man's head to find bumps.
I mean, but at 99, that is seriously like psychology.
Lacking.
Yeah. He doesn't know how to pronounce it.
I got a 58 and my psychology is 50.
All right. So, Viola, you're the only one. The other two kind of think that he's trying to jog his memory. Viola, you get the read on him that he's familiar with this question. Like you sort of see the recognition to the name. Your feeling is that he's reluctant to kind of say anything, and probably knowing the types that run the bars. They're that one. They listen to everybody's problems, but they don't like to turn around and talk about it. So you definitely get the read that he may know, but he seems like he's trying to avoid saying anything about what he knows.
Well, so I'm gonna he's behind the bar, right? I'm gonna sit at the bar and I'm gonna tap the set like that shelves this discussion till later. Let's have some food and a drink. And, sir, would you like to have a drink with us?
Oh, well, I mean, I'm always happy to have a beverage with good paying customers. By the way, I don't think I was polite and I didn't introduce myself properly. I'm the proprietor of the Sweetwater Saloon here in Sweetwater, and you can call me Samuel Phibbs is my name. This
Very
here,
nice
and he
to
points.
meet you, Mr. Phipps.
You and you are.
I'm Dr. Markward. It's very nice to meet you.
And he points at Sol. And you, sir.
I'm Sol Henson. It's nice to make your acquaintance, sir.
And you as well. And you, ma'am.
Olive Archer, and then she'll reach out her hand to shake.
Your hand is sort of an envelope in this meaty big bartender's hand, and he gives you a good quick shake. He says, that there is Jason. He works as my assistant, helps slinging drinks and stocking the bar, and tossing out the drunks if they get too inebriated. And the ladies are that's Patsy and that's Molly, and they both look over and give a quick wave. Hello. They help out. They serve when we get real busy, and take care of things, cleaning up around here and whatnot. But he pours 4 whiskeys and slides the drinks over. So to your good health, my new friends. Your good health.
Yours, sir.
He'll drink it down. Slams his glass on the bar. So, like I said, there's so many faces that can come in and out of here on a given night, but that name doesn't really jump out at me as somebody who's been in my establishment of late.
Well, certainly.
Can you tell me more about this person?
Well, sir, he is a person who is on the lam, as it were. He is someone who's committed a number of scoundrelous crimes. And then he'll give the physical description as best he can that matches the wanted poster.
Oh.
Well, sir,
Well,
if nobody of this description has been here, has maybe somebody else inquired after this gentleman?
Now I will tell you, if you want to try to get more information out of him, you have a couple of options socially. You could try to be charming, and you would roll a charm roll and see how charming you can be. Also, if you were inclined to try to be a little more of intimidating to somebody, you could try to force some information out of them. And also, you do know that a lot of people, the easiest way to get them talking is to help their wallets a little bit. Money, depending on how much money talks, depends on how much they might talk. And you all, in your various careers and things like that would know these are kind of some tried and true ways to kind of interact and get information from people.
Would money be a persuade roll?
Money would be, so if you were to bribe somebody, it would be just, you'd have to bribe them enough to do it. Like, you wouldn't even have to roll a persuasion.
Okay.
Like, a certain amount of money would get them over the top to talk. The other two would definitely be rolled.
That's where I'm trying to figure out where to use that.
You could, if you wanted to try to persuade, I would go with that too. Like, if you wanted to try to get him to talk by persuading him to give you information, that's also an option.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to give that a shot. I'd like to say to him, Samuel, you seem to have a lovely town here, a lovely establishment. And
Look, Sweetwater is a very nice town, isn't it?
It is indeed. And I think the last thing that a businessman like you would want is a criminal running about, ruining your potentials for business and scaring away customers. If there's anyone who's been asking about this man or anything that you could help us to apprehend him, the sooner the better. I think that would be in the best interest of everyone, don't you?
Roll me that persuasion roll.
Yeah.
You know, you do make a lot of sense. I mean, I wouldn't want someone riding up in here and shooting up my saloon and killing the locals who bring me my business, you know. So, and he kind of looks around and he pours a couple, more drinks for each of you and leans in and he lowers his voice. So he goes from this kind of big, booming, like, jovial voice to a little lower. And he says, I'll tell you, I have seen this Henready person you're asking about. He doesn't frequent the bar often. He's staying out on his brother-in-law's claim with the brother-in-law and his wife and so Henready's actually her brother and their little boy, their son. And I guess he's been helping the brother-in-law. He's been working the claim, and he's been keeping him to himself. He hasn't caused any trouble in town. Hasn't done anything that has brought any attention to him. So he's just kind of been laying low. But I can say that him and Luke is his brother-in-law's name. They come into town sometimes, and they'll stop here for a drink or two before they head back out. His wife there, Luke's wife, June, she tends to come down here into town about, I'd say once a week to resupply at the general store before she heads back out. So, but other than that, I mean, I wouldn't suspect that this man was some kind of criminal. Like I said, he's very much keeps low-key to himself, and from what Luke has said, is really helping out at the claim, hard-working, pulling his weight. So, but that's what I know about them.
And these are the same folks that Bob was saying.
Yeah, the name Luke, he told you Luke Probish was the, yep.
All right. Well, Samuel, I bet that feels like a weight off your shoulders. I really appreciate that information. And of course, if you happen to see Luke or June, or especially this Henready individual, but I would much appreciate if you could come to us as soon as possible.
Oh, if I'll tell you this, if Luke or Henready or June come into town and I get wind, I'll have Jason or one of the girls give you a heads up that they're around, just so that keep it on the low key. And he looks over and he's like, Molly, Pats, you remember come here. You remember the man there with Luke? And they're like, Luke? And what? Well, the taller man with the big chin. Oh, well, maybe. I'm not sure. We're not good with faces. He's like, God, never mind. Go back to clean the tables. He's like, yeah, I'll send somebody to let you know if they come in. I'll do you a solid on that one.
Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome. So, it's about 9 o'clock. So, I think we'll fade out this evening as you've made your way into the town of Stillwater. You've made acquaintances with some of the locals and gotten a couple of leads on this man that you're looking for, this outlaw, Hank Henready. And you've your horses are stabled. You've got some rooms set up for the next couple days. And a little bit of alcohol and maybe some dinner to boot coming up. So with that, we'll close this session. And why don't we go around, and if anybody has any thing they want to plug or anything they want to mention or anything like that, why don't we I'll start with Vivacia. Do you have anything going on? Anything you want to talk about?
Well, Well, aside from playing with you lovely folks every other Tuesday now, I also I'm playing a Pathfinder game at the Great Canadian Guys. We are on hiatus for the month, but it is a hilarious game. Let me tell you, there's not one human in it. I am an Ergonazi druid who is Snoopy as nothing else, basically a rogue.
Nice.
We have a tiefling and a big orc barbarian, and we're all the most socially awkward, forgetting that doors and windows exist people that they are. And horrible. We just lost Stella Luna playing with us because she is moving. She won't have any more time. But yeah, in January, we're back for that. Else, you can always find me on my channel, playing The Sims, playing Anno, doing weird things. And that's it. Nothing special.
Awesome. And how about you, D-Sword? What do you got going on?
Hi, everyone. You can typically find everything that I post, which is mostly about TTRPGs, dogs, travel. I do a lot of all of that at DSword16 on Twitter. I'm not really playing in any of their games right now, but you can watch me in Scraticus reruns, where last season I played a Badger in Heroes of Redwall, and last season of Greyhawk, where I played in Cities of the Gods. So hopefully you'll see me in the future and other stuff. But in the meantime, I am looking forward to more investigation and lots of spooky stuff in this Call of Cthulhu game.
Excellent. And Callie, what do you got going on?
Hi. You can find me on Twitter at CapCallie. I do art over there. I've got commissions open. But I probably won't be able to do it for the next 2 weeks because there's a lot going on. And I'm in too many games to run through all of them. So Retroverse, Vaccine every other Friday. It's supposed to be this Friday, but there's PAX, so we're not doing it. Reign of Misroll every Sunday morning on Scotty Hood's channel. Retroverse is also on Scotty Hood's channel. And Dungeon Academy on Power Score RPG on Sunday nights. No, it's fine. That's it.
That's it for today.
That's
All right,
it.
cool. Excellent. And I'm Jeanette. You can find me here every other Sunday playing D&D, Skull and Shackles, every other Tuesday playing Shadows Over Stillwater, and starting next Monday, every other Monday, we're going to be playing another Western Cthulhu campaign that may or may not be set in the same timeline as this one. Who knows if things will cross over. I don't know, maybe we'll find out. But that'll start next Monday, and we'll run every other week as well. So, and other than that, you can find me on Scotty Hood's channel playing some Ghosts of Saltmarsh on every other Saturday. And we're on a hiatus for a little bit, but on Power Score RPG, I play a rogue in D&D, and we're doing the Acquisitions Incorporated adventure right now. So last time we played, I got aged up to be a 60-something-year-old woman. Great. I was 20 when I started the session. It's cool. But otherwise, thank you so much to all of you for joining me tonight. I hope that you had fun with this first session. A lot coming down the road, so I'm excited. And thank you to everyone who watched and who watches later on when this gets posted. And everybody have a great couple of weeks. We should be back in 2 weeks, and keep an eye on the Twitch for the schedule and stuff like that for the holidays, because that might interfere with a little bit of sessions. But otherwise, have a great night, everybody, and we will see you all soon in the Old West. Boo. Take it easy. Take care, and bye.